The tale of the sleeping giants. In a quiet valley surrounded by tall mountains, there was a small village called Meadowville. The villagers lived simple, happy lives, but they were always careful not to venture too far into the mountains. The reason? The ancient legend of the sleeping giants. The legend said that deep in the mountains, there were giants who had been sleeping for centuries. These giants were enormous, with the power to shake the earth and move mountains. The villagers believed that if the giants were ever awakened, it would cause great trouble for everyone. One sunny afternoon, a curious boy named Jack was playing near the edge of the village. Jack loved exploring and always wondered about the world beyond the mountains. He had heard the legend of the sleeping giants many times, but his curiosity got the better of him. I want to see if the giants are real, Jack thought to himself. I'll be careful and just take a quick look. Jack packed a small bag with some food, water, and a blanket. He set off towards the mountains, determined to find the giants. As he climbed higher, he noticed the air getting cooler and the trees growing thicker. The path was steep and rocky, but Jack was determined. After hours of climbing, Jack reached a large cave. The entrance was covered with vines, and it looked dark and mysterious. "This must be the place," Jack whispered. He took a deep breath and stepped inside. The cave was enormous. Jack could barely see the ceiling, and his footsteps echoed in the vast space. He walked deeper into the cave, his heart pounding with excitement and fear. Suddenly, he stumbled upon something huge and soft. Jack looked up and gasped. Before him lay a giant, fast asleep. The giant was so big that Jack felt like a tiny ant next to him. The giant's breathing was slow and steady, and he looked peaceful in his slumber. "I found them," Jack thought, amazed. "The giants are real." Jack quietly explored the cave and saw more sleeping giants. They were all different sizes, but each one was enormous. Jack wanted to stay and watch them, but he remembered the legend and knew he shouldn't disturb them. As Jack turned to leave, he accidentally kicked a small rock. The rock tumbled and hit one of the giants on the foot. The giant stirred and let out a deep sigh. Jack froze in fear, hoping the giant wouldn't wake up. To his relief, the giant settled back into his sleep. Jack hurried out of the cave, his heart racing. He made his way back down the mountain, careful not to make any noise. When Jack returned to Meadowville, he couldn't contain his excitement. He ran to his best friend, Emily, and told her everything. "Emily, I found the giants. They're real, and they're sleeping in a cave in the mountains." Emily's eyes widened in surprise. "Are you serious, Jack? We have to tell the others." Jack and Emily gathered the villagers and told them about Jack's discovery. The villagers listened in awe and concern. "We must make sure the giants stay asleep," one of the elders said. "If they wake up, it could be dangerous for us all." The villagers decided to place a warning sign at the base of the mountain, reminding everyone to stay away from the cave and not disturb the giants. They also set up a watch to ensure no one ventured too close. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. The villagers went about their daily lives, always mindful of the sleeping giants. Jack and Emily often talked about their adventure and wondered what other mysteries the world held. One evening, as the sun set behind the mountains, Jack and Emily were sitting by the village well. "Do you think the giants will ever wake up?" Emily asked. "I hope not," Jack replied. "But if they do, maybe they won't be as scary as we think. They looked peaceful in their sleep." Emily nodded. "You're right. Maybe the giants are just misunderstood. We should always be kind and try to understand others, even if they seem different." Their conversation was interrupted by a loud rumbling sound. The ground shook, and the villagers rushed out of their homes in alarm. "What's happening?" someone shouted. Jack and Emily looked towards the mountains and saw a giant standing at the entrance of the cave. The giant stretched and yawned, looking around curiously. The villagers watched in fear, unsure of what to do. The giant noticed the villagers and walked towards them, his steps causing the ground to tremble. Jack and Emily stood at the front of the crowd, trying to be brave. The giant stopped a few steps away and knelt down, bringing his face closer to the villagers. "Hello, little ones," the giant said in a deep, gentle voice. "I mean you no harm. I am Goran, one of the sleeping giants. We have awakened after a long rest." Jack stepped forward, his voice shaking slightly. "Hello, Goran. We are the people of Meadowville. We were afraid that if you woke up, you might cause trouble for us." Goran shook his head slowly. "We have no intention of causing trouble. We sleep to gather our strength and only wake when the time is right. We are guardians of these mountains, here to protect and watch over the land." The villagers relaxed, realizing that Goran meant them no harm. "We're sorry for being afraid," Emily said. "We didn't understand who you were." Goran smiled kindly. "Fear comes from not understanding. Now that we have met, we can be friends. We will return to our sleep soon, but know that we are always here, watching over you." The villagers thanked Goran and promised to take care of the land. They felt relieved and grateful to have such powerful guardians. As Goran returned to the cave, the ground stopped shaking, and peace returned to Meadowville. From that day on, the villagers of Meadowville lived without fear of the giants. They knew that the giants were their protectors, watching over them from the mountains. Jack and Emily continued to explore and learn, always remembering the lesson they had learned: understanding and kindness can overcome fear. The story of the sleeping giants became a cherished tale in Meadowville. It reminded everyone that sometimes, what we fear is simply something we do not yet understand. The villagers passed down the story to their children, ensuring that the bond between the people and the giants would never be forgotten. And so, the tale of Jack, Emily, and the sleeping giants lived on. It taught the people of Meadowville that bravery, kindness, and understanding could create a world where everyone lived in harmony, no matter how big or small.